voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to INCRadio San Francisco. I'm one of your hosts, Brother Vince Fortes from the local San Ramon. It's a pleasure to once again host for this show. Today, we're going to have a very interesting topic. It's actually a topic we've heard before, and that is maintaining vocal health, part 2. Before we begin, let's go ahead and talk to our panelists today that are here on the show with us, starting with Sister Sophia.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brother Vince, and hello to everyone tuning in to INCRadio San Francisco today. My name is Sister Sophia, and I'm excited for part 2 of maintaining vocal health. It should be a really fun experience on air today for us, Brother Vince, and I know we all have a background in singing and even in performing as an organist. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about. If I could go ahead and send over to our other sister who's joining us on air today as well.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our viewers and listeners for INCRadio San Francisco this weekend. My name is Sister Mel, back on, ready to talk about vocal health, continuing our topic from a couple weeks ago. So I'm very excited about today's topic.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And, you know, if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and send over your tips in the live chat about ways that you maintain vocal health and any tips that you may have for singing, for any aspiring singers, or even what you love about singing. A lot that we can really talk about in this topic, right, Brother Vince?
Right, there is so much that we can talk about, and there's so much that we would love to talk about, especially about health. So if you love to sing, if you love to practice your voice, go ahead and comment on what tips you may have, especially if you love to sing and you have some tips on how to sing, whether it's, you know, drinking water or it's doing vocal warm-ups, stuff like that. Go ahead and comment it, and we'll be sure to read it in the comments. And before we begin, let's go ahead and actually start off with some of the questions. So I'll already go ahead and ask Sister Melanie, what is your history with music? Because I know that you are an organist. So this actually is very, very perfect. It's a perfect first question for you. What is your history with music, and when did you first start singing?
Yeah, so my history with music, I think when I was just in grade school, I my first instrument was like the flute. I don't know if that was a common thing. Like not I think it was the flute and then the recorders. So that was like my first introduction to like music theory and instruments and music altogether. And then piano classes. And then I think after some years, I kind of put that down and joined the choir as CWS, which is our children's worship service, and then continued with adult choir as well. So that's kind of when I first started singing. I think it was about 7, which is crazy to think about, 7 years old. So it's always kind of been a part of my life. It's always been emerged. And I do actually really quickly want to read some of our comments from our live chat really quickly on that note before we continue. We have
musical note.
Yeah, on a musical note. We have Sister Catherine Paragas. Happy Saturday, everyone. Shout out to all the brethren in Santa Rosa, Redwood City, and Concord. Sister Ace, we have good morning from Burlingame, Northwest California. Brother Dennis, good morning from Fremont, California. Brother Nathaniel Natividad, good morning, NWC from the local congregation of Concord. And let's see, I have a few folks from Burlingame, NWC, Brother Jan, and then the Sesses, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Brother Zach and Sister Izzy. Good morning and happy Saturday, tuning in from Antioch, NWC, but physically in Durham, Eastern Ontario. Oh, shout out at Eastern Ontario. Really, really happy to see everybody in our comments. Please keep those coming. We'll read them out throughout our broadcast this morning.
Yeah.
Back to you, Brother Vince.
Thank you. And thank you to all who are currently certainly commenting. Thank you for so much for supporting our show. And going back to our topic and about the history of, your history with music, I too also have some history with music as well. Before I even joined choir, I was actually part of a choral group, a separate one in school. Not the one that you attended in elementary school, but it was completely separate. It was like a separate division kind of thing. And that's actually when I started singing. I believe I was 6 or 7 around that time. So way before I joined Cedars Choir. I think I joined Cedars Choir like at 8, like 7 or 8 after. But that's when I started learning how to sing. And then I also played the piano as well. Shout out to Ka Adonis. He's currently in New York. He's the one who taught me how to play piano, and also I didn't learn the organ, but but I did learn how to play piano. So that's some of my history when I first started both singing and instruments at the same time. What about you, Sister Sophia?
Other than singing in the choir, I also joined CWS choir when I was about, man, maybe 10 or 11 years old or so. That was my first introduction to singing. And then later on in like fifth grade, sometime in middle school around then, I did take vocal lessons too. Not sure if I still remember too much of what we learned in voice class, but even now I still sing in the choir. But when it comes to musical, instruments, I don't really have much of a background when it comes to playing instruments. I've never learned piano or guitar or anything like that. However, we did have a district activity where I performed in a band for the very first time, and that was our district band together. So, Clea Tech, could you go ahead and show us our photos from that past activity that we had, as well as a few other CFO um, promo materials that we have. All right, this is our group photo over in the San Jose Function Hall, where you see we've really filled it up. There were so many brethren who came, and there were multiple band performances who were able to perform different INC original music. It was a very fun, very energetic activity for sure. Shout out to the Burlingame Oak Grove, which was the band I was a part of. I played the shaker and the metal triangle at the very end. Shout out to Safe Haven, Sister Miles over here, the lead singer. And we have a lot of other performers who are actually, just throughout our district of Northwest California, there is so much great talent. And I didn't realize we had rock stars, we had, keyboard masters. It was really awesome to see just so many talents and to see everyone really cheering one another on. And so it was a competition, a friendly competition amongst the brethren. So here we have the first place winners. The band was called Mizrak. Hopefully, I'm saying it correctly, Paul. Mizrak, it means east. And they were from the locale of Hercules, and it was really great to see, the support, the signs, the brethren ready to cheer on, and it was just really exciting. Here's the photo of all the different bands who performed as well as our CFO advisor, Brother Alex, with us in the photo. And it was a great time. You can see the excitement, the smiling faces, the matching coordinating outfits, which are really fun
Love
to
the
wear
coordinated
too.
outfits. That looks really
Right?
nice.
Yeah.
Right? And then another activity that we are having, and this is also for all the musical brethren, is our casting call for the musical evangelical mission. I believe the deadline was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe there's still a chance. But if you're interested in joining the musical evangelical mission, go ahead and let your CFO officers within your locale know, or even reach out to any of the officers in the district music team, and I'm sure we'll be able to find a part for you, Paul, for that activity. A lot to look forward to, though, and it's great how there's such a variety of musical talent within our district. Always blows my mind to see it.
Wow, it's really cool that there's going to be already a casting call for another event that's going to happen, a musical EVM. That almost makes you want to warm up your voices in a way because I kind of want to be a part of that as well. Speaking of warming up, your voices, what are ways you can warm up your voice for performing in general, just in singing in general? I know there's a bunch of ways from drills to just breathing even, or just drinking a bottle of water as well. But I'd like to hear some of your tips as to warming up your voices, starting with Sister Mel.
My goodness, Brother Vince, where do we start? There
There's so
are
many ways to start.
so many. I think absolutely for me personally, it starts with breath work. So, a lot of my history, I wasn't doing kind of breathing exercises before singing. And when you start to actually implement that in your preparation, it makes a difference because part of properly singing involves proper use of your diaphragm, right? Which I'm very guilty of using just my throat various times. But using breath work really helps you kind of practice that and engage your core to really help you sing as effectively as possible. So, breath work is huge. Um, and definitely hydrating. I think there were a number of times I kind of experimented with what I um, would ingest, whether it be like coffees, iced coffees, teas, water. I've come to know that water is definitely the best, of course, but there are times when I love to do like a good hot tea, just a plain lemon ginger tea or hot water even. Sometimes that really helps soothe the throat before you're singing, especially if you're kind of going through like allergy season or getting over a little cold. Sometimes you need a proper like lubrication of your vocal cords. So that's also another way you can warm up. I'm talking about a lot of outside factors. So this isn't even like singing as a warm up yet, right? Um, Drinking water, breath work, and then actually warming up for your performance. We talk a lot about drills when it comes to choir, but even if you're performing outside and just like in our many activities, right? If you're performing and you're singing, definitely doing a couple drills, whatever drills you can do. Sometimes when I'm performing for family events, I will sing and belt out my favorite karaoke song in my car before stepping on a stage to sing. Um, so that's also a huge way to warm up for singing in general. Rest too. Oh my goodness, rest is huge. People don't really consider that, myself included. You also can't be singing all the time and straining your voice because then that's another way that you can kind of damage it long term. So definitely taking some vocal rest. That I would say that's a way to warm up for performance or singing in general. So what do we cover? Breath work, hydration, a proper lubrication of your um, vocal cords. Cough drops are really good too. Um, and then actually doing drills, singing a practice song, warming them up. When you're warming them up too, I could go on and on. When you're warming them up too, also working on vowel formation, um, resonance, just different. I'm throwing random terms out there. My choir folks know, but warming up is not just your voice. I think there's a lot of things, just face muscles, vocal muscles that you can kind of target in different ways to really, really warm up the voice. So long answer. Hopefully that kind of covers a lot of segues we can turn into. So yeah, Brother Vince.
That actually does cover a lot of segues. One that I would like to touch on though is definitely the breathing part of it. The breathing techniques, definitely breathing. For those of for our singers who are just starting out singing, who don't know what like the diaphragm is, or breathing through your diaphragm. Essentially, what that means is you're still breathing through your lungs. You're still breathing through your lungs, but you're also focusing more on gaining air within a muscle that's slightly below your lungs, but also slightly above your stomach, and it's called the diaphragm. So essentially, what that little area is basically what you used to breathe with when you were a baby. So when you were a baby, you would actually breathe. A lot of babies actually breathe through their diaphragms, and the way you breathe through your diaphragm is the normal way would just be to really focus and feel your stomach expand as you breathe. But at the same time, it's also better to breathe through your nose because your nose actually helps it travel to the diaphragm better. That's what I actually learned from my past vocal coach back in when I was in a vocal team back then. But yeah, so breathing through your nose actually helps out, and then breathing it out through your mouth. So that's something that I learned in terms of singing. not only does it help you sing the note longer, it actually helps you sing the note louder at the same time. So those are two things that will help you sing and also keep your voice from straying away, one, and also from damaging it too, if you had those good breathing techniques. So a great way to practice that, just try to just breathe from try to just
No,
breathe from your diaphragm every
seriously,
now and then. Yeah,
there are
like just
so
take 5
many
minutes.
there's so many breath work exercises that are available on various websites. We're taught a couple when it comes to our duties in the church, but overall, I think I was always skipping on breath work. I never
Mm.
valued it. I mean, to this day, I still kind of skip over it, but sometimes I forget that our voices are the best when we implement that breath work,
Mhm.
hydration, and just because I think the more that we get older, Brother Vince, our voices are just gonna keep fading out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you get older, actually, your voice becomes lower, so it gets
It's
lower and lower and lower because your muscles are no longer getting tighter, they're getting looser, so your
it-
voice
it's it's
will
not
start
just
to
our backs, Brother Vince.
so, yeah, so, it's always good to practice it. Sometimes we forget that our vocal cords are actually muscles too, so, we need to work those muscles as well, and that also involves since it involves breathing, that also means you have to do cardio to gain
Mm,
endurance so that way you
Sorry,
can,
that's a
uh
really
good
quickly,
one.
Brother
Yeah.
Vince, I want to
mhm,
interject. We have a couple comments just on this exact topic. We have
mhm,
Brother Jesus, vocal help tips: consume warm water, non caffeinated liquids during voice use, use non menthol or non eucalyptus lozenges, especially if liquid intake is difficult. Very, very good advice there.
mhm.
And then our sister Joanne says, diaphragm exercises are hard in the beginning and feels kind of weird, but it's eye-opening to know it helps with singing. Absolutely, Sister Joanne. That's a great way to kind of wrap up that breath work.
I totally
Yeah.
agree. Now, touching back on what you said, and or what our commenters have said in regards to ingesting things to help us sing. I kind of want to ask Sister Sophia what she does. What do you do to make sure your vocal cords are warmed up in terms of like maybe drinking tea or drinking water or ingesting something? What have you noticed that helps you?
Yeah, you know what? There's definitely things that I know I should avoid if I have a performance. Choc chocolate is something I think I should avoid. I mean, I usually like dark chocolate, but then milk chocolate, like that dairy, you can really tell that it makes a difference. And I do also try to avoid caffeine just because I feel like overall it makes me kind of more rushed and more tense if I do have caffeine before a vocal performance or anything where I have to sing. So that is something I really try to avoid. And I love how we talked about breath work and cardio, also, Brother Vince. That's a really good tip. And I think something that I'm still learning and still trying to grow in, but something that I learned from one of my choir leaders is that singing is very much a full body uh, exercise, or it's a full body thing that you're doing. It's not just, your throat, it's not just your lungs. If your whole body is relaxed and if you're really able to be, I don't know, I guess steady and calm, even the way your feet are grounded, that has an impact on your singing. It's never just your vocal cords or it's never just what you think it is. It's all of you that has to kind of be in it when you're really performing the best that you can.
I was just gonna say posture too.
Oh,
That's
yes,
huge.
posture. Yeah, posture is huge.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. You're slouching, you're kinda blocking your airways. You
Yes,
you
for
you
sure.
look down when you sing, you're kind of blocking your airways, you can't sing if you're looking down. Yeah, it makes sense, that your posture is very, very important. I like to touch up on what you said about caffeine in regards to drinking caffeine, that can actually hinder you from singing, and that actually goes back to the breath work. If you're overly excited, you can't breathe very well, and so you can't sing very well either. And then in regards to all the other things like eating chocolate or drinking dairy, that's totally true because it makes you feel not one, it makes you feel full, but also it makes you feel full. So you can't really breathe well or you can't really sing well when you feel a little too full. So I totally agree with all that you said. Um, And these are actually some techniques that you've actually mentioned, to avoiding things so that way you can sing better, prevention so that way your voice can be better. What other techniques do you have at home that you do in order to preserve your voice to make sure that you keep your singing voice as you were like up until the performance or even like after the performance?
Yeah. Well, I also try to kind of avoid yelling. I don't feel like I'm naturally a loud person, but I feel like if I scream or strain my voice, I notice it um very like eager, like right away I notice it, that basically, oh, my throat feels a little different. I also get that way if I'm talking for the entire day. When you have days where you're out for so long and you're just so busy that you really are kind of feeling yourself overuse it. I kind of try to avoid that and have my moments where, okay, let me rest my own throat. Definitely hydrating. It's funny, we were talking about water. I have a huge water bottle that I'm trying
We
to
do
really use.
too.
Yes, we all got our water bottles right by our side to stay hydrated. And
If you're
we have,
tuning in, drink some
yeah.
water right now.
You get your eight
This is
ounces,
your
drink it
water
now.
reminder. Drink some water with your coffee if you're having your morning coffee. So we actually have another one too. Actually, we have two really great ones from Brother Jessica Mom. Gargle salt water to enhance the moisturizing effect to prevent a dry throat or a sore throat. And Brother Jordan and DK says they gave us flute recorders in chamber choir to practice breath control and to train our ears. That's a good one because I am also someone who is guilty of breathing in between the lines. Like if there's a really long line to sing, I sometimes steal a breath when I'm like, oops, I'm supposed to hold past that. So breath work, it's important.
Flute recorders to help you breathe. I've never heard of that before. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, this is a whole other topic, but I do definitely have to give my kudos to like those who do wind instruments or even like tubas or trumpets or saxophone, those kind of instruments. We did have a saxophone player at band together. Shout out to Brother Lorenzo. Those are hard, and those also really require an understanding of your breath and how to have good breath control, I think.
Totally agree. And the way they blow through the way they blow air out to make their instruments have sound is even more more technique than ever possible because they don't breathe it out regularly. They have to breathe it out in a certain way in order to make the sound go out. So yeah, props to all props to all of the brass players as well as like the wind players. You have way better diaphragm control than even me, so I'm pretty sure you can sing actually really, really, really good. In terms of other techniques, that are like that, Melanie, do you have any other techniques that you do to preserve your voice?
I think I mentioned it earlier. Probably vocal rest is huge in between performances, um, and exercise. I know we had a couple topics in previous weeks regarding fitness. Daily walks have been a huge cardio game changer for me. Um, Usually, I'll walk with a friend or like a family member, and talking while maintaining like a somewhat fast-paced walk is does wonders. It's a really great
Yes.
training exercise to practice your cardio. It's a great way to practice your breath work with singing technically. um, I think but vocal rest has always been huge for me. I think like Sister Sophia, you touched on when you're yelling or talking a lot. When that happens to me, I can kind of feel by the end of the day, my throat just dry and very like strained. So when that happens, really resting and taking that hot water, lemon, to really recover.
I like how all of you I like how both of you said in regards to your techniques, really just vocal rest and drinking something warm and avoiding yelling at the same time. Because I'm very similar. I do the same thing, except instead of drinking like warm water or warm tea, I drink soup.
Oh, I
So
love soup. Soup's my
yeah,
favorite.
The best.
Yeah.
yeah. Some good old ramen.
Yeah, and
Some good old ramen,
I'm
chicken noodle soup.
laughing too, imagining Melanie like singing and walking at the same time. But it's true, being able to run and talk, or I
Yeah.
can't even imagine running and singing at the
Mhm.
same time.
Mm. All the
Sometimes
more
I'll
trying to
be
make sure you're breathing through your diaphragm at the same time. That's hard.
yeah. Sometimes, like, you're, like, mid-deep conversation, and you're like, "Wait, give me a second. I gotta take a break."
And that's why it's important to learn how to breathe. So that's why it's important to always learn how to breathe. That's actually a very good way for preserving your voice. Speaking of your vocal health, because I noticed we're touching up a lot on vocal health. Drinking water, uh, drinking salt water, so that way you can actually properly hydrate your throat. What are some other ways you can properly support your vocal health at home? That you can do some home remedies just in case, like, let's say you do have a dry throat. What are some ways you can remedy that at home rather than maybe going to the doctor, unless you don't have to, unless you have to, in a sense.
Talking about this, actually, something else came to mind too. Being aware of dust and allergens in your house. I think a lot of us are going through like hay fever, or like pollen count is super high at the moment. Maybe if you're someone really affected by that, having something like a HEPA filter in your house, and maybe not having your windows open as much in the springtime. Although the weather is beautiful outside, unfortunately, if the pollen's coming in, that can really, affect you. And of course, keeping a clean environment too, making sure you're wiping off dust. That even the clothes you wear outside, maybe you change them before coming in so the pollen is off of them. All depending on your own personal sensitivities, though. I know not everyone has allergies, but a lot of us do, that's for sure. The moment.
I completely forgot about allergens and dust. That is so true. If I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's experienced this, but when you wake up in the morning, do you feel like your throat is super dry? It's probably because there was dust in your room, so you were breathing it in. So yes, that is very true. In order to prevent yourself from getting, a dry throat, or to not get sick from allergens, a great way is to clean your house. Like, is to clean your house to make sure that it's super clean, free of dust and free of allergens. One way to do that is to invest in maybe what's it? I think it's called an air filter. I have We have
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
yeah, an air filter where that filters out all of the dust and filters out all of the allergens, so that way you don't have to worry about it as much. But if you are a person who likes to have a routine of cleaning, you can also clean as well, and that can help in terms of it too. Before we wrap up, I'd like to hear some more advice from Melanie in terms of preserving your vocal health.
I think for me, I'd probably like, long-term wise, also never stop getting education. It's, like, kind of a no-brainer and something completely unrelated to something physical that you have to do, but I'm always on the lookout for research on, um, just how you can better relax your voice, and in between singing, what are ways that you can preserve it long term, and kind of keep a good voice even later in your later years in life. So I'm always reading random articles and just getting research, um, in that way. That's kind of something that I guess support my vocal health at home in the non-traditional sense. Yeah, back to you, Brother Vince.
That is perfect. I like how you said that in terms of, maintaining your vocal health. Sometimes it's always safe to get educated on it and learn more about how to preserve your voice and how to keep your vocal health always healthy and very strong. And that is actually all that we have today. It's very, very short. I feel like we should have a part three of this. I
Yeah,
feel like we should have a part three of this. So hopefully
definitely.
we'll have a part three of maintaining vocal health. I'd like to thank all of the listeners and guests for tuning into the show. Thank you so much for your comments. And also, thank you so much for all of your advice in terms of maintaining your vocal health. I'd also like to thank the executive producer, Brother Manly Dyer, our station manager, Brother Arnel Solano, our multimedia advisor, Brother Andrew Paragas, our CFO advisor, Brother Alex, and our assistant district minister, Brother Roel Del Rosario, our district minister, Brother Jojo Bayani, our CEBSI CEO and CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Manalo, our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, as well. Thank you so much for allowing us to have the time to have shows like this on this platform. And we will see you next time on Saturday. And next up is INC Radio Texas.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you also, Vince and Melanie. I wanted to give you all a shout out, but Vince, you concluded the show so smoothly. Wait, really quick. I think we have time because Texas gave us the okay to go a little bit over today. But I did want to also thank Vince and Melanie, who are actually going on their next journey. Who will be? This is so heartbreaking. I'm feeling it just saying it. This is their last broadcast with us on SF, for now at least, because they are starting a new adventure, moving to another satellite studio, Washington D.C. Get excited because they'll be moving over to the East Coast. But I did want to be able to take this time on air to thank you guys for all that you've done in radio and the huge help you've been, this past year and the months even before that. And thank you guys. Hopefully, if you're on the live chat, go ahead and send over some love to Vince and Melanie too, and wishing them the best on this next adventure. It was a great broadcast, and thank you all so much for your help on INC Radio.
We
We'll
love
miss you
INC
guys.
Radio San
Yeah.
Francisco. We will be back.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. But if you want to go ahead and see Melanie and I still, go ahead and watch us and tune in with us on Washington, D.C. as well.
Thanks, everyone. Signing out.